Welcome to my video series, The Heroine's Journey. I'm Susanna Liller, and it's time to find your happiness. So here we are. We've been in ordinary life. We've heard a call. We responded to the call by leaping, and now we're on the road. We are on the road of adventure. And our heroines don't recount everything that happens to them because a lot does, but they'll talk about what it was like for them on the road. I always tell people good things happen and bad things happen, but it's a time of transformation and growth. And what did Pamela do? She'll tell you, but she started writing a book. She started really digging deep. She talks about opening up her underwear drawer for all to see. And then Maureen talks, I love what she says about courage and how courage is earned and how going through the trials and errors on the road of adventure, because you dared to go into the unknown and leave your comfort zone, that's when you learn about courage and you earn it. And that fear is always with you. She talks about those things. And then Lisa, it's interesting, Lisa says she gave herself another childhood. The childhood that because she was always striving to get somewhere, she was able to finally enjoy. And that led her into all new avenues, particularly artistic avenues. So all of them, again, different types of journeys. I love it too that they interact with each other on these videos and can really ping off each other as they tell their stories. I'm hoping you're doing the same thing as you listen. All right, so here we are on the road of adventure. So then you land in this new world, right? This adventure. People would say, oh, woe is me, it's not an adventure. Well, it depends on your mindset, right? So Pamela, there you are in this new world of you're divorced and leaving the Mormon church. So how was the road of adventure for you?
Wow. It was interesting, Lisa's quote about, to be yourself, you're going to disappoint people. Huge disappointment for my family. My mother could barely be in the same room with me. And we'd always been very close because we were very similar. And so that was really, really difficult to lose that support. And for a time, that love and my sisters, that, everybody just continued to tell me how weak I was and how misled I was. And so, in addition to just completely blowing up my life, I also blew up eternity. I was gonna, now who knows where I was gonna go, outer darkness with the weeping and the wailing and the gnashing of the teeth. And so, my eternal soul had now been damned. And I would have to say for the first 10 years after leaving the church, I would wake up just terrified. What if they were right and I'm wrong and I really am just weak and deceived? And I will happily say that I haven't had that thought in probably 25 years. So there's light on the other side, but it can be very, very dark and desperate to any of these things that have happened to these women. It's a challenging time, and there's no way that anyone could say that it's easy, but I will say that it is beyond worth it. Right. And that's part of what my book is about too, is my relationship with my mother. Right. And how we healed that.
Right.
And so
I would save that for when I ask you what gifts did you receive?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But your point, so well taken, that it'd be great if we could say, oh yeah, well, once you listen to the call, you make the leap.
Yeah.
the bells start ringing in the
Oh, yeah. The sun shines 24/7 and it's
You leap right into the new life.
yes, and you feel self-confident constantly.
but sometimes you do, and then I mean, good and bad happens on the road of adventure.
Absolutely.
So, Maureen, tell us how your road of adventure.
The adventure. Well, I think I love what Pamela was saying is that I would say yes, it's courageous, but we're also finding our courage as we're traveling and being in terror sometimes and fear and just, looking at that self-doubt and the yeah buts, what ifs, if and onlys and all that kind of stuff, and how you manage that territory is what allows you to move forward. So it's not like, Pamela and Lisa are so courageous. Of course they're courageous, but they earn their courage by going through the journey. Just want to make that clear. Maybe you agree?
Right. And I would say fear is your constant companion.
Constant companion. Because I think a lot of people look at heroines and think, I wish I had that kind of courage. And I would say it's earned.
Right.
It was earned through the journey, the leap that we all took. Well, including the people that are listening, comes afterwards. It's a willingness and a desire to take the leap. The courage is earned. That's how I see it, and I hope that helps.
I agree, and I think people could look at you and say, "Oh, well, all three of you. Well, they were a lot braver than, I don't have that kind of courage." And
you'll find it.
But Maureen, you also made, and I put it in the book, an important point about, yes, you also have to know that fear is there, but what did you say about compassion, the importance of compassion?
What I learned by continuing to move forward with the fear and the self-doubt and the trial and error, because it's not like what I've been able to achieve since my diagnosis just came easily. There's a lot of trial and error and fine-tuning and all that kind of stuff. And what I know and teach is when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, which is the heroine's journey, outside of your comfort zone is you don't have the skills. I mean, it's a comfort zone for a reason because we know how to handle it. And our tribe is there and our people that are giving us kudos are there. And but when we go outside of it, we're not skilled. So if we're beating ourselves up about what didn't go right and we're seeing our life's journey and our pursuit as a pass or fail, you did it or you didn't do it, and you're being unkind to yourself about not doing it right, it's going to be a really hard journey and you're going to go running back into your comfort zone. So for me, what I learned was because I was really good at beating myself up, because it allowed me to become one of the best cyclists on the planet. You're not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. It worked really good. But when I got MS and it was dealing with more of the emotional stuff and the spiritual stuff and listening to my heart, it wasn't working to beat myself up. But being kind to myself and learning the how to do that allowed for when things didn't work out, that I could say it's okay, good job, even when it did kind of work out or whatever, but just to be kind to myself in the journey. And it's certainly something that I was new, and it was a skill I had to learn, because this happiness was a goal of mine, and I wasn't going to be happy, and I wasn't going to be well without it. And I don't think my health would kind of turn around either without exercising that muscle, that compassion muscle.
Yeah, great. Okay, thank you. So Lisa, the journey on the road.
Yeah, I've been enjoying listening to Maureen and Pamela talk about sort of further down the road. This is actually in this moment, only 9 years after the moment that I just described about closing the school. So I feel, if I look back at that, I think when I took the leap, I thought, oh, it'll be a few months or something, and it'll just be right back to normal. And that was my naive hope at the time. But it's been a lot of trial and error. It's been a lot of I love that the word learning, because I feel now, looking back, I sort of gave myself another childhood, kind of re-parenting in a different way, giving myself freedom to explore, try things, discover my creativity, learn how to play, learn how to play better with others. And it is a whole other repertoire of skills from being, and I relate to the competitive athlete story, Maureen, about my childhood was about becoming a competitive, if that can be the case, a competitive musician, and sort of just trying to be the best at anything that I ever did. And all of a sudden I was in territory where there is no best, there's no measurement of kindness, compassion, freedom, joy. There's not a real numerical, you can't win at those things. And so yeah, it's taken a lot longer than I thought, but I've also discovered so many more dimensions of myself that I never knew existed. And I love it is by exercising the muscle of listening and following those calls. I feel like I've had many calls in the last 9 years of just continuing to follow those and take the next leap through a lot of unknown and uncertainty. And I'm glad I get this chance on this call to look back, because I really don't know how I managed to get here and still be here, because of all the different twists and turns. It just has never, it's never fit into the same kind of plan that I had prior to that moment when I, thought that I knew the way.
Yeah, right. It's interesting. Do you think it ever gets easier? I mean, you keep hearing the call, because the reason why is because we keep evolving, right? We're not stuck, and we want to evolve, and we want to keep developing ourselves. So does it get easier, do you think, to listen to that voice and go with it? Or is it as hard as it was the first time?
For me, I've just gotten more familiar with it, but it's not necessarily easier. It's just like, oh, okay. I have to do this again in a different way. I have to remember that. Yeah.
Okay, so the road here, it can be difficult. I'm not asking them for their joyful moments.